The world has much bigger problems today and needs deeper, more evolved solutions. Poverty and inequality are at extreme limits. Climate is changing faster than we thought. There is vast destruction of natural resources. We are greatly affected by conflicts and government instabilities. There is lack of quality education and economic opportunity, and we are far from achieving the UN Sustainable Development Goals. The global disruption, particularly to education, has affected marginalized groups disproportionately. Girls, young people, children with disabilities, those from minority groups living in remote areas are often denied access to quality education. This has far-reaching consequences on their futures and those of their families, communities, and countries. The good news in all of this is that intercultural collaboration in the philanthropic sector has transformative power to reverse this trend. Welcome everyone. I'm Sachal Aneja, your moderator for this very exciting session and corporate partnerships lead for Asia Pacific region at Plan International. Plan is a global humanitarian and development organization which works to ensure children's rights and equality for 200 million girls in more than 80 countries across the world. In an increasingly interconnected world, the ability to collaborate across cultures has become a cornerstone of effective philanthropy. Today, at our session, we gather to gain valuable perspectives and practical knowledge on leveraging such collaboration to enhance philanthropic efforts. We sincerely hope that this discussion, brought to you by EdHeroes Global Forum, enables you to foster more inclusive, effective, and sustainable philanthropic practices. We have a distinguished global panel with us today who I will request to share their views on four topics: leveraging intercultural partnerships to achieve greater social impact, talk about real challenges and practical solutions between family and private foundations, tell us how to empower local communities while respecting and incorporating their cultural heritage, and share about how to build trust across cultures to ensure mutual benefit and long-term success. I will request and challenge each panelist to come and cover over one or many of these topics during your 7 minutes speaking time. And towards the end, if time permits, we'll come back to you for a quick word or one line of wisdom to leave us with. I'd like to start with our first speaker, Beatrice A. Mendes Gandica, Program Manager at Microsoft and founder of Nuevo Foundation, joining us from Seattle, United States. Welcome, Beatrice, and over to you.
Yeah, thank you. So no, I appreciate for having this panel. And what I'll share is the work that we do at Nuevo Foundation. So at Nuevo Foundation, it's a 501c3 nonprofit, which goal is to inspire kids to be curious, confident, and courageous by discovering the world of STEM. So what we do is we focus on kids that come from underrepresented backgrounds. That could be because of race, because of ethnicity, because of gender, because of income, or anything that will make them underrepresented. And so the task that we took with Nuevo Foundation is, can we help kids, not just in the US, because we've been able to help in 33 countries and in multiple languages, is can we make a difference even when there are bigger organizations such as Code.org or Khan Academy, just large organizations that have a lot of a lot of funding, not profit, that can we still make a dent? Can we still make a difference? And so what we found out is that we've been able to help 18,000 kids. We're looking to help in more countries as we can. And how we do it in terms of making sure that everybody is accounted for is we work with the schools that are Title I. Title I in the US means the schools that are underfunded or where the majority of the students cannot afford lunch. So those are the schools that we target. Happens that the majority of those schools are Hispanic, Latino students or African Americans, and those are the kids that we try to have the impact the most. In terms of how do we ensure that we are helping all the underrepresented minorities, we partner with Hispanic organizations, we partner with African American organizations, with LGBTQ plus organizations, Asian organizations, so that way we make sure that we cover at least the largest groups of underrepresented minorities in order for us to teach. how can we expand so it's not just in the US. I myself come from Venezuela. I want to make sure that, kids have opportunities, because when I was growing up, I didn't know what computer science was. I had no idea what coding was, that you could have a career in big tech. Not because I was reluctant or anything, I just didn't have the opportunity. So the reason, or one of the reasons that Nuevo Foundation happens, is because I didn't have the opportunity. I want to make sure that the next generation have the opportunity to learn about computer science, STEM in general. If they want to go and pursue of becoming programmers, that's up to them, but at least they're aware that there is this thing called coding that can change their life if they choose to pursue that. So we, during the pandemic, we were able to scale a lot because a lot of countries were allowed to do things remote or virtually. Before the pandemic, it was very rough to enter, especially in Central America, Caribbean, and South America, to do something virtual. They were hoping that we could be in person, but then how do we scale? And scaling means also mean funding, and it means this and that. And so one of the out of everything that happened, one of the good things that happened during that time is that remote access, in the sense of like we could do things remotely and we could teach as many kids as we could in countries that we didn't think we could, like the British Virgin Islands or the US Virgin Islands, countries in the Caribbean, through virtual. And also with the help of AI, we've been able to translate to many languages. So even if the students don't speak English, they can also be able to learn coding in their local language. We don't have all the languages in the world yet. We can get there, but at least the main five languages that are spoken in the world, they exist in our workshops. All our workshops are completely free, and also they're MIT licensed for open source, so they can be used. And if there's anybody listening to this that would like to bring computer science or coding to your country, to your school, to a set of kids that can be benefited, it's all for free, and then you can contact us on the website. But the most beautiful thing that I'll share is that the kids that we teach, they have no idea what computer science is, even in this country, which is the US. It doesn't matter that it's a first world country or however you want to call it. Not everybody has still access to computer science. So the schools that we work with, they have no idea. Sometimes we bring into Microsoft, sometimes we go to their schools, sometimes we go to Snapchat or any other company in big tech. But they just go and they're like, okay, well, I'm doing this, I don't know what this is. They have no idea. They all get in their computers, and then you can see how they're trying to be curious, like, okay, how's this coding works, like, how's this going to happen? And then when they start writing their line of code, and when they see that something happens, that could be making their own song, that could be making their own shapes, that could be making their own website, and they actually realize the power that they have on their hands, their eyes change, you can see it, they get excited, they're like, can I take this home, can I use this, can I teach my little sister, can I share with my family, with my community? And that to us is the most powerful thing, because I think the power of knowing and awareness that something exists in terms of equality of education across the world, to me is very important, and that's what we do. I don't think I answered all your questions, Shishal. There were a lot of questions. I don't have a script or anything like that. This is just what came to mind based on what you share, and you were interested in me sharing.
Thank you so much, Beatrice. And yeah, that is the idea. We want to keep it really interactive and conversational. And it's really inspiring to learn about the work that you do. And we also do work with a lot of girls and children on STEM, and we see that there is a genuine interest, and largely it's been a male-dominated area. So it's good to see that how through technology you've really helped young people aspire and think beyond and truly realize the power they have in their hands through coding and through AI. One question I had for you, like a follow-up question, is that we see that along with STEM training and education, we are able to reach a big number. And you mentioned that you work in 33 countries with 18,000 children. How do you also ensure while teaching them that this is going to lead to a career in STEM and they won't drop out on the way and the interest stays alive and they're always excited
Yes.
about that? If you could share one or two strategies around that.
Yes. So because we're based in the US, tracking kids it's just not allowed. You have to have a lot of permissions and lawyers involved, and even big companies are still not able to keep track of students. Outside of the US, different story, but because we're a US based nonprofit, we follow the rules in this country. However, what has happened is that we teach some students like a classroom, and then next year the teacher sends us a note and said, hey, by the way, Pedro, Juan, and Maria are still coding. Or like now they actually teaching the other class that's incoming that they don't know. That's how we've been able to do that, because we don't keep track. It's also a way of how we are able to keep it for free and make sure that anybody can access it. It is meant, the workshops that we have is meant to do for middle schoolers, high schoolers, and elementary, but in the older grades, so fifth, sixth grades in elementary. But an adult can also use it. So that's part of like the whole tracking. So we don't do it. We do surveys. So after each event, because that's allowed, we ask them. We ask multiple questions like, what's your how are you disadvantaged, or how are you like underrepresented, what's the school that you go to, all that. And then the three main questions that we ask is, first, do you learn how to code? Are you more interested in STEM? And would you take another workshop? And the numbers of that, they're on the website, but they're in like 90%, 92%, and 89% of all the students that we teach. You can claim, well, Bea, that is a point in time. Yes, but that's a point in time that we're allowed to survey the kids regardless of where they sit, that we help. And what we have realized, and the reason we focus too much on middle schoolers, is because based on research by NCWIT, so the National Center of Women in IT, which is the largest nonprofit in the US for women, they discover that middle school girls lose the interest when they go to high school. So we try to focus especially on girls in middle school, just to make sure that they retain their interest and curiosity in STEM as they go through. But in terms of tracking, again, not allowed. But we do see the retrospective from the teachers, and we really hope that our first class that we taught back in 2018, that when they become adults, we get a note from them saying, hey, this happened, it changed my life, or I chose because of 30 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours of training of coding.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Beatrice, for sharing that with us. I'd like to move now on to our next speaker. Joining us from Jakarta is Rifki Weno, Director of FLG Consulting and Executive Director, ASEAN Business Advisory Council. Welcome, Rifki, and we look forward to hear from you next.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, perfect.
Yes,
please
sorry about that. Good morning from Jakarta. Also inform you that I'm also representing the PJAR Foundation in this panel. So PJAR Foundation is a catalytic ecosystem of strategic players to close talent, innovation, and policy gaps for our future. And we work closely with the government, general public, private sector, and also local communities to build to close that gaps and also build projects to close that gaps. We, in terms of the closing the talent gap, we have a lot of special projects with the universities in Indonesia to democratize education and make it more accessible for the students in Indonesia. We have a program called Future Skills, whereby we offer a lot of short courses and also a lot of curriculums for the students to take that can be accredited to their credits in their studies. So we work a lot with universities in Indonesia, the top tier one, for example, Universitas Gadjah Mada, University of Indonesia. So this will create more opportunities for students outside of those top tier universities to take on the curriculums and be accredited to their studies. We also have a lot of innovation programs collaborating with local communities and also state-owned enterprises to find real-world solutions for real-world problems on the community level. For example, we are working with state-owned energy companies, PLN, and also working with a lot of startups from all over Indonesia to find out solutions for the problems that PLN is encountering. So we would like to find grassroots solutions that can close these innovation gaps instead of finding solution innovation from top. We facilitate a lot of discussions to close these innovation gaps from grassroots levels involving the communities. We also realized that these talent gaps and innovation gaps will not go anywhere without any good a good public policy. So we also have a lot of platforms whereby we consolidate and we compile all of those decision makers from governments, central governments, and also local government in Indonesia. We 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 um, we consolidate all of them into one forum, and we also invited a lot of influencers and key opinion leaders from the communities to find real world solutions on those problems. For example, we have an energy transition fellowship which involves the state-owned enterprises, ministries, local government, local communities, and we convey to them all of these problem statements that they need to solve. So they go there into one forum for 3 days and 5 days, and we encourage a collaborative governance as our theme of the fellowship. So at that forum, they need to find a solutions for all of these problem statements, and we find this very efficient in terms of our advocacies, because we found out that yes, the government in Indonesia is one entity, but there's no communication between ministries, even between central government ministries, but also central government to local government. So as a foundation here, we close the gap, the communication gap, and we also close the communication gap between the ministries and also between the local communities, intercultural communities with the government. Because sometimes we find a lot of solutions that are unthinkable for the government, and we can found them in these local communities. Um, we have a lot of special projects for these, and we really find this is the right formula for us to move forward in the future. So as a foundation, we mobilize these resources through collaborations across sectors and governments. We also mobilize our networks in local communities, be it from internal domestic Indonesia, but also from outside of Indonesia. For example, we also collaborated closely with the Poly Foundation in Japan, whereby we also exchange knowledge and exchange technologies between our startups to find also solutions to the problems that we are facing right now in energy transition, in healthcare, and also in supply chain in, connectivity. So as a foundation, this is our formula to go forward, and I think that answers your questions, Sachal.
Surely does. Thank you, Rifki. I think we've learned a lot in a short period of time through your address. And I was really curious because you mentioned about exchanging knowledge and technology with, let's say, Japan, and also working with governments as well as finding grassroots level solutions. Could you give us a couple of challenges that are like really key in working with these different stakeholders at an intercultural event, and some solutions that really worked for you?
Yes, I think initially when we have this type of forums, of course, there are a lot of communication challenges, and as a foundation, when we go into the local communities, of course, there are some drawbacks and there are some push from the local communities that they don't want to be involved. So what we do is we always find these local influencer, or what we call it, key opinion leaders, that can be our partner in these type of forums. Usually these type of communities have their own key opinion leaders or influencers who can drive things forward in various regions or various cities. So we receive a lot of resistances at first, but when we find the right partners in terms of local governments, local community leaders, and etc., we find that these type of forums really give a lot of room for public discussion and also collaborative governance in the future. So we will stick with our formula to work with local community leaders.
Superb. Thank you so much, Rifki. Just, I'd like to, before I move on to pray, I'll just quickly share once again the three, 4 points I'd like you to also cover, pray, in your address to help us understand how do you leverage intercultural partnerships for greater impact, talk about some real challenges and practical solutions that have worked for you, tell us how you empower local communities and how do you build trust across cultures when it comes to uh, philanthropic sector and intercultural collaboration. So over to our next speaker, Dr. Nantapon Seributra Pre, the CEO of Starfish Education, joining us from Singapore.
Hi, hello everyone. My name is Prasar Butra, and I'm the CEO of Starfish Education. So Starfish Education has been, well, we are actually celebrating our 20th anniversary next year. So we've been around for quite some time. And I think as a private foundation, you really have to think about what you do, what kind of impact that you make. And in this almost 20 years time, your solutions, what you do, also have to match or sort of like, because you always have to think about what kind of communities you want to serve and what kind of needs that they want you to help with. So I think this is something that is really crucial, and it's actually help us to navigate what kind of things that the programs or the solutions that we are doing. So we are focusing today on 6 main programs. The school, Starfish School, is one of the main program that we have been doing from day one. It's a free private school, K6 school, and about 70% of our students are non-Thai speakers. So we have a lot of ethnic minority communities with us. And having that in itself as a school, it also has a lot of challenges, but at the same time, it also presents a lot of opportunities. We opened the school up not only to the non-Thai speakers, but also Thai students as well. So this way we can really have this community together and having everyone working towards the same goal. And that's something that we have been very strategic in working in this space. We also have Starfish Academy, which we do a lot of professional development to other schools in Thailand. We are very big on innovation, education innovation, like project-based learning, problem-based learning, maker space, or maker education. We have our own literacy program helping non-Thai speakers to speak Thai or know Thai in a very short time. So we do have a lot of innovations like that. So the way that we really want to scale and really help other students who are not with us in the school, we do that through Starfish Academy. And we also have an online learning platform. And this online learning platform is not only for students, but mainly, or initially it was mainly for educators. Today we have educators, we have parents, we have older students. So the platform itself has become more of a lifelong learning platform for people who are really interested in future skills, social emotional learning skills, future of work, that kind of thing. So we really want to make it accessible to people. And currently we have very close to 350,000 users. So it's a big community, and about 70% of our users are still educators, but we really want to expand more in that space. We also have other programs like Learning Hub, which is a beyond school concept. Because we already have a formal school setting, we want to explore sort of like learning beyond school concept, what it would look like without the limitation of time and space and all of that. So that is something we also do. We have another EdTech product which is an authentic assessment tool. So all of this solution that we have, it's really something that we have designed in such a way that it's really complementing each other. And all your questions about collaboration with other, how do we actually maximize our social impact? I think this is a solution that we have today, because the school is a very small school, it's a great small school, but again, we cannot maximize what we do to other people who cannot come to the school. So we do that through other means by doing professional development with other schools, working with the Ministry of Education in empowering the schools, empowering school leaders. We work with a lot of stakeholders. We see ourselves not only like an academic where we come up with like really great innovation and then we don't taste it, we don't do it. We are practitioner. We do a lot of these in our schools, and we really we we really want to share all the learning, all the challenges, all the things that we did and didn't work. I think that's really important that we do that, especially as a private foundation. Because we don't really have to always say that everything that we do so great to just to make ourselves feel better. I think as a private foundation, you really have to set your own standard, right? Because otherwise, if maybe in your heart that you're not doing well enough, and who are you? You know, you need to learn from that, and you want to do it better. And then it's not only about producing really good report, but it's really about knowing that what you do matters to other people, make difference to other people. So I think this is something that we're very careful about what we're doing, always reflecting on the solutions that we have, reflecting on the partners that we're working with. And obviously, like a lot of us talk about the challenges in terms of like communication, working with a lot of people, working with the community. It comes with a lot of headache, right? But some of those headache are good problem to solve, because if you always make the solution that you feel that, oh, it's great, it's a great solution, it deliver what you want to do, but maybe the community do not want that solution. And you really have to learn from that as well. Like, okay, if as a private foundation I have a great solution, I want to give this to you, but I don't want to work with you because I know that I have a great solution, I think you can actually fall into your own trap, by doing that. But really working with the community, listening to maybe some hard feedback, or be in that difficult conversation, really help you to do better. And this kind of manner, or this way of working, really build trust among everyone as well. So you don't come in as someone, as a donor, or as someone that I'm doing this for the community, therefore I have the biggest voice in the room. We try very much not to do that, so we're very mindful not to do that. So just to make sure that what we do, we offer to our communities. And today we have around 7 million beneficiaries across Thailand through all the programs that we do. But having said that, approaching our 20th anniversary, I think we're still learning, because the landscape is changing every day. And if you stuck with the old solutions, you're just gonna keep. I think you will stop sort of like progressing and developing in the way things, should the way that you do things.
I think the lifelong learning aspect that you spoke about your solution really resonates, because learning is a one-time thing, but it has to be a continued process. I think what I heard from all the speakers is the role of technology and how you've really amplified it in terms of using multiple language, or improving the quality, or really reaching out to massive numbers into the work that you do. So with that, I would now with a line of wisdom or a word of, and with that we'd like to conclude. So I'd like to start with
Yes. First of all, I would like to help Rifty and Prai, like if I can. I would love to help in your own work, because I think this could be a partnership with the kids, especially the K through 6, and with universities as well. So let's please connect, because I think like part of this is how do we. I think at the end of the day, all of us want the best for our communities, and if I can help, I would love to. And the last thought I would leave is, if you don't like something, or if something is not done the way that you think that it should be, the good thing about technology and coding is that you can rewrite it. And so that's my last thought.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Rifki, some final thoughts from you?
Yes, I think our mantra in TJAR is always the collaborative governance. So in any things that any problems that you have encountered, I think we should go through the collaborative governance mantra. that involve the government, community, and the private sectors and local community to communicate with each other and work together to achieve a common solution that will last and more impactful for the communities in any part of the world. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you for that. And over to you, Prey.
Um, I think we have reflected on the work that we do so far, and it comes down to the word meaningful education. I think this is such a this is before that we thought a lot about like high quality education, but I think the word meaningful education really personalized, and it's really the way that we do things or offer our products and services or how we help the community. Because if what they feel that what we give them is not meaningful to them, even though it's high quality in our view, but it doesn't make any sense to them, it doesn't help them in doing better, and I think that is not a great way to help them. So I think I've been reflecting on the concept of meaningful education quite a lot, and I really like to encourage everyone to think about the word meaningful education. How would this fit into every individual that we work with? So it's really give us like the empathy and the way that we view the offers that we have in a different lens.
Superb. Thank you so much. So, thank you to all the panelists for making the time and sharing today. I'm sure knowledge and insight enable our audience to engage more and better in transform collaborations. One line from me to leave you with is to never stop trying to change the world within and around you. Thank you so much. Goodbye for now.